People who have been in a coma, what was it like from your perspective? Did you know you were in a coma? Dunno. I was in a coma for 11 days, severe brain injury. I don't remember being in a coma or waking up from a coma. I lost several years of memories prior to the coma, and my brain didn't really start to retain information again until 6 weeks after I came out of the coma. I'm told that my personality changed afterwards. I had to rebuild most areas of my life. It sucked, but it was probably a good thing. Although I'd be lying if I said I never wondered what my life would be like if I'd never had the coma.
I also heard of daughter of a friend who had her personality change like 100%. Just was like a totally different person as far as interests and demeanor and etc. Her boyfriend didn't make it out of the accident, and when they told her, she was just so sympathetic to his parents but didn't seem to feel any remorse for herself, like he was someone she had never met even though they had been together for years and she remembered that they had dated.
I was put in an induced coma when I was 9 years old after a pretty bad car accident which left me with a fractured skull. All I remember is a bad dream about having a bad headache, and hearing my older sister telling everyone, including my parents, to get the fuck out of her way because she wanted to see me. I found out later that this was on the night it happened, and they were trying to calm her down before she saw me. Edit, for those who are telling me to let her know how awesome she is, I made sure to, not quite but almost, hug the life out of her when she got back from work. I was in a coma for 3 days following a serious cycling accident, medically induced. I woke up with zero recollection of why I was there or what was said while I was out. It is easily the scariest situation I've found myself in, but I can't say I remember it. I woke up to my mom and dad in the hospital with me and my body in traction of some sort, and that was way scarier to me. I had a seizure and was in a medically induced coma for 3 days when I was 17. To be honest, I don't remember anything. I remember fading in and out of the anesthesia, trying to pull my breathing tube out and that my hands were restrained to the bed so I couldn't. When I woke up and was coherent, I couldn't recall anything from actually being in the coma. They had even moved me to a hospital over 100 miles away. It was really just nothing but black. No dreams, no lights, no voices, just nothing. After being in a really bad accident that left one of my good friends, the driver, brain dead, they put me into a chemically induced coma for under a week to prevent brain damage due to swelling. When I first woke up, my memory was much better than it was as it gradually faded in the days to come. I have a journal my mother recorded things in, and I recalled many things I shouldn't have been able to immediately after waking up. Today, I have very little memory of it all, but I can definitely say that having positive people around you definitely helps when you're in a situation like that. If you have a friend in this situation, don't disregard them. Even though your life has moved on, they may wake up one day, and in their mind, not a day has passed since the last conversation they had with you. A few years ago, my dad was in a medically induced coma for about 2 weeks. Everyone thought he was completely unconscious the whole time until he woke up and started mentioning conversations people had around him while he was under. This even surprised the doctors. He said that from his perspective it was like he was asleep most the time, but he would occasionally wake up and could hear what was going on around him without being able to move or do anything before he would eventually drift back to sleep. I'm not sure where I read it, but a girl talked about her experience and she mentioned that it was like going in and out of sleeping/dreaming. Just when she would feel like she was waking up, she could hear parts of conversations or the TV, but she would slip right back to sleeping. She also said when people would clean her, she could feel them touch sensitive parts of her like her armpit and butthole area. I'm an inpatient phlebotomist, and even though some of my patients are sedated, I still always introduce myself and say I'm here to draw some blood, just in case they could hear me. My girlfriend of 6 years and sort of fiance was in a severe car crash when she was 16. Both of her best friends died instantly. She was the only survivor, but they didn't think she would make it. She was in a coma for 9 months. She was in what is called a waking coma. She retained normal periods of sleep and open-eyed wakefulness, but no higher brain functions. Here are some things about her experience. She doesn't have any memories of the year prior or the year and a half-ish after her coma, and obviously no memories of the car crash. She suffered a TBI, and when she first got out of the coma she would get naked and sexual with people and anger very easily. These are common problems of people who suffer a TBI. She went back to school after the coma, but her brain was still healing a lot. She was held back another year because her brain was still not retaining anything. Today she is a wonderful, bright 30-year-old with a college degree. She has a slight speech impediment, gets frustrated easier than most, and it took her a while to get driving down. Honestly, she still scares the hell out of me when she drives, but there are worse drivers out there. I was out for 45 days, no white light, no tunnel, nothing. Woke up and couldn't remember who I was. For 6 months, never really fully recovered, so I just started life again. Turns out I'm a completely different person than I was, and that is a really good thing. I get memories now and then, they aren't pleasant. A woman came and sat by my bed for 6 weeks, turns out she was my ex-lover. I couldn't remember her. Didn't recognize my mother. Afterward, this is the second time in my life I have related this much about my life publicly, and it has been good and at the same time really painful. Thanks to everyone for being kind. I wrote this story 7 months ago and published it in the lounge, and I really hurt myself doing it. This time I wanted to share about the life afterwards, and I hope it has been of some benefit to others that struggle with mental issues. This place saves lives, gives hope and guidance to millions of people, and I feel lucky to be part of the community. I had severe swelling on the right side of my brain. They had to relieve the pressure and blood inside, and that did a bunch of damage to my memories. Later things started to come back, but I have familiar feelings about people and places, but not a lot of collected memories. As people told me who I used to be, I knew it was right, but I didn't want to accept it, and I used that a lot at first to not take responsibility for where I was. I still have a lot of problems mentally, but it's gotten better as new pathways open up. I get lost mid-sentence sometimes. I have severe anxiety socially and a huge crease in the side of my skull. They took a piece of my skull out and put it in my stomach for a while until the swelling went down. I don't know what happened exactly, but once I woke up in the hospital I have a pretty good recall from that point forward. I have serious short-term memory loss. There is a point where if I really lock something in and dwell on it for a minute I will remember it, but if I just glance over it or don't give it much thought I can't remember it. Part of that was actual damage to my brain, and part of it was oxygen deprivation. I almost never remember going to the bathroom in the morning, so I have to check a little list to make sure I'm not constipated. I just carry a little book around and try and make notes of stuff I might forget. Important things go into my smartphone calendar, little stuff like eating or pooping goes into the book. When it's full I throw it away.